further ado, thank you.
Thank you. JP, you did great. I am so glad to be here today because this topic is near and dear to my heart for many reasons, including my own personal story. So first of all, let me say that, again, we thank K-Force for sponsoring us, and we are going to talk about the sixth phase. You know about the 5 phases of financial planning, but the sixth phase, and I'm so glad that this topic came up because several people have said, oh, I thought this was going to be financial management about project management. But no, you're going to be the project today. So that's what the sixth phase is what is your financial plan. And we're with JP Financial Group. We're not JP Morgan, and we're not LPL. JP is Joyce Palmer. She's an individual professional that's been in the business over 20 years. She's a former Hartford underwriter executive and also an executive of another insurance company. And during that time, she saw that there was a need to really focus more on ladies and our needs. Why do you think, ladies, we have different needs maybe than men might when it comes to retirement planning?
We kill them all.
I've heard that, yes. We kill them off, yes.
We live longer.
We live longer. Exactly. And then, you know, generations are changing, but my mother's and my grandmother's generation, they didn't handle money. The man in the house handled the money. But since they killed them off, what happened when they needed to start handling finances? So there's many studies out there as to why we focus on ladies. But men, we love you too. You have a purpose. And we're going to also include you in this because we do have a lot of men clients. But just like any other business, we have a target market. So we do a lot of ladies-only events, but we usually they end up bringing their spouses or loved ones, and we work with family and children and things like that. So just want to give you a disclaimer before we get started. This is a financial education seminar only. We are not tax attorneys, even though you may hear me mention something about taxes. And we are not here to give specific advice today. Everybody's situation is different, so when you want to read the fine print later on, just come back to that slide, okay? So this is our purpose. We believe in empowering, normally it would say ladies, but we said clients today, to be proactive in making safe, simple, and smart financial decisions. There's a lot of decisions that can be made, and we get it from different family members, just like the gentleman in the back there got his grandmother's advice, but that may not apply to everyone. So smart decisions is very important. So here's a boutique of services that we offer. And ladies, you know, when you go to a boutique, you get the dress, and then we just happen to have the jewelry to match and the shoes and the purse. So these are the services that, you know, often people will come in for one of these needs, and then we identify other gaps and needs that they may have. But we focus on retirement income planning, that check. What's your check going to look like when you stop working? You still need income. You still want to have a lifestyle. We also focus on 401k rollovers. And let me just say right here that I know there's probably some contracted people in the room, and you may have worked before for an employer, and there are probably employed people in the room, same thing. But don't ever, ever, did I say never, ever, never, ever leave your 401k behind. Your money needs to follow you, and we're going to talk more about that. We also offer cash flow management. We have software in place that helps us with that. We work with a lot of young professionals with our cash flow management. I have a couple down in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I started off with him as he just wanted some life insurance, and then he got married. So now we have other planning and issues, and so I traveled down there. Of course, I planned it during the eclipse weekend so that so that I would have a place to stay and also see my client there and write the whole thing off, of course. But, you know, we're available like that, and they're just a young couple. I'm excited to start seeing them. You know, they have plans for family and things like that. So I'm really excited to work with their cash flow. Social Security strategies, this is a very important topic. We do a lot of seminars on this. And all of these topics, we do dinner seminars, workshops, empowerment breakfasts, and different events like that for our clients. Legacy and estate planning, asset and income protection, which is primarily life insurance, but there's other kinds of insurance as well. We do a little bit of health insurance, and of course, as our clients retire and age into needing Medicare, we do that as well. So we all know about the 5 phases of financial planning, so I'm not here to go over that with you. But what I am here to show you is how project management and financial planning for yourselves are very similar, so you can apply these phases that you know and trained in doing and certified to do to what you might experience when you come into JP Financial Group. So we know that you first got to identify the purpose, and then you got to have your planning and definition of what you're going to agree to as the goal. You got to have a course of action. You got to break down how the structure of the work is going to be done and assess the uncertainties. And then of course you want to work toward your desired results. Now, if you come into JP Financial Group or any other really good, solid financial plan and planner should offer you these strategies. You should never go somewhere where they immediately say, oh, I've got a pot of money. Okay, let's just do this. That's your first red flag. So we start with a conversation and a consultation. Our consultations are complimentary, and we want to first identify your goals and desires, not what my opinion is about what's happening in the market, not my opinion about anything. It's really what you want. And then we're going to, of course, look at your cash flow. We're going to do a financial analysis of what you have going on right now. We're going to look for gaps. That's one thing we do. And then we're going to identify those needs and gaps and discuss that with you. Then we come up with our recommendations. So that's the 4th step, just like when you're working with a project. We do a lot of customized illustrations. I was talking to someone downstairs, and she said, I'm never going to be able to retire. I've got 5 children. I've got 4 that just finished college, 1 going into college, and I got 3 weddings to plan for. And I was like, that's a lot to plan for. But in planning for her family and her lifestyle, I'm sure she was kind of joking because she looked kind of young. She looked like she had a little more time to work, but she may feel that way. So customizing what she needs would be different from someone like myself who's single with no children. And then again, we start and reposition whatever our strategies are, and then we also offer an annual review so that every year, whatever the recommendation that was made, it can be reviewed and also adjusted if needed to. So we're the project today. You're the project today. So we want to help empower you to set personal priorities. And this is like the cobbler that has no children, whose children have no shoes. We often will stay at work till late hours in the night, work on weekends, do whatever we have to do to get that project done. But when it comes to our own personal finances, a lot of times we leave ourselves out. So we want you to set yourself as a priority by learning, preparing, and implementing. And that's one thing that we really do special at JP Financial Group. We don't ever want people implementing a plan without first learning and preparing. So you have lots of information coming from us. And these will be strategies to save for your retirement and prepare for the lifestyle you desire. Now, I know you were talking about retirement and your grandmother. What's your name, sir? Jim. Jim was saying that his grandmother didn't believe in retirement, and she had some strategies for retiring. And some people, that's their choice. They may choose to do that. Some people want to retire and they want to sit at home and eat bonbons and watch the grandkids. Other people want to, one of my clients just got back from the cruise of Venice, all down through Italy and all of that. And now they're planning to go to Greece. So it just depends on what you want. So it's the lifestyle you want. But no matter what age you are, particularly if you're younger, it's important to start thinking about that lifestyle now, because time will pass and it will be here before you know it. So that's how we define retirement, as a lifestyle, not so much about when you're going to stop working, but what are you going to do in the next phase of your life. So let's just do an analogy right quick, because I'm sure when you work on a project, you do an analogy. So I'm doing my own analogy. How many of you work for an employer? Okay, about half. That's what I thought. And the rest of you are contracted. Is that right? Okay. How frequent are employment gaps with people, those of you who are contracted? How frequent has there been an employment gap? Have you had in your career 2 or 3 times when you've been unemployed, or more? 2 or 3, okay. And that's what I tell young professionals, whether you're employed or contracted. In today's world, you can plan on at least 3 employment gaps in your career, and they could be lengthy. I had a couple of them myself, over a year long. What do you do during that time? And so that's important in terms of looking at financial planning. Now, another question I'm wondering, how should contracted professionals ensure they have retirement and managing their monies in retirement compared to how people in corporate might do. What are contracted people going to need to do a little bit differently?
Be more proactive, more engaged.
Be more proactive, be more engaged, be more informed about what your strategies can be, and you got to set things up automatically. And one of your articles in your folder is about the automatic savings system. I'm sure you've heard of it, but we just put it there again because you've got to be intentional, whereas a lot of employers will have 401ks and things that you can automatically sign up for after a period of time. Contracted people, when we find that they come into their office, they feel a little bit behind on doing some of that. So that's important. So for people who are corporate employed, how many of you have strategies beyond just saving for your 401k at the job? Okay, what kind of strategies do you have? Just name some. Roth IRA, okay. Stock, okay. Bonds, okay. And depending on where you are in life, are you comfortable with stocks right now? Stocks are kind of riding high. What do we think might happen is going to happen. When it happens, it will happen. Exactly. So those are good strategies, and it's good that you have other strategies because you need multiple sources of income. We need that when we're working, but we definitely need multiple sources of income and different paychecks coming in when we retire. However, for the first time, we now have a generation of people who aren't savers. I know that's none of us in this room. But when I say are not saving, they have good intentions and they want to save. That's what another one of your articles in the folder is about. You're a concerned striver. You're concerned, you know you should save, but being diligent and having the ability to do it sometimes is a challenge. So you can partner with someone like JP Financial Group to, to come up with some good strategies there. So, just a few project notes and just some little facts that we know out there. This study was done recently by the Certified Financial Planners Board. 64% or 2/3 of Americans have no financial plan. That means out of this group in here, there's somebody with no financial plan. That's okay. We can remedy that problem. Only 17% of us have it written down. And this reminds me of my high school friend Gilda. I'll compare us. Gilda and I have been friends since we were 6 years old. And she told me recently that since we were in 9th grade, she has put her plan for retiring and the lifestyle she wanted down on paper. She said every day she would calculate pen to paper, whatever she was doing, whatever part-time job she had or whatever. So I went off to college, got my master's and got all this going on. Gilda went to a local technical college and she worked at the University of Georgia for 30 years. And she retired at age 55 because she had her money pen to paper. Their house is paid for, she owns commercial property, and they have 3 BMWs. And I'm like, wait, I went to school for a master's, why I'm supposed to get that? Hold on. But that was her dream and what she wanted. But, she still talks about putting things pen to paper, and she always believed that cash ruled. She never got into a lot of debt, she never used a lot of credit cards, and she had a strategy for paying off her house early. Of course, paying off the house early, pros and cons of that, because right now they have a lot of taxes they have to pay. But anyway, she was one of those 17%. Half of Americans feel behind on their retirement goals. And I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but just in thought, how many of you feel like you're behind on your retirement goals? And there are things that derail you. And for ladies, this is another reason we work with ladies, is because a lot of times women are going to take a pause in their career to start families. They stay out for a while until the children get a certain age, so they get behind just by choices and just what life is for them. Okay, so everybody feels kind of anxious about saving for retirement, so I think we got that about saving. And then saving money is the top priority for most Americans behind paying off debt and staying current on the bills. But what do you think the number one concern is? I didn't guess, if you were getting ready to retire, what do you think the number one concern might be? Do you have enough money? Okay. Healthcare. Okay. All right. So the most important concern is saving enough for retirement. And then these are some concerns that we see from our clients coming in. Healthcare, taxes, lifestyle, the 4% spend down, pension or no pension. We're going to talk about that in a second, and baby boomers. Why would baby boomers be concerned? Well, age is one,
There's
but
a group of spenders, not savers.
yeah. Well, baby boomers, they did okay. They did okay. But they're in the sandwich generation. A lot of them are having to take care of their parents. So they're having to spend down their retirement assets to take care of mom who lived to 105. So when I talked about longevity, it's a real issue and concern that we need to think about. So running out of money is the number one concern that people have. People are thinking that their money is going to run out before their life runs out. And 1 in 4 Americans have no retirement plan at all. And 1 in 5 baby boomers have less than $5,000 saved in retirement. This is a real issue. It's shocking, but someone it fits in that category. And I have a dear friend that's happened to because she's now a caretaker for her mother. Yes.
And I think the other part is the fear of the unknown. And the reason why I say that is because I started with another company mid-career in upstate New York. And I know that there was like an exodus of people moving from the city up to upstate New York, primarily because these elderly people had their homes paid off decades ago, but crooked politicians or whoever was raising their property taxes to the point where they literally couldn't afford to live out their lives in their homes that they'd worked for all of their lives and paid for, and thought that they were going to have enough retirement funds to be able to stay there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's called inflation. And it reminds me of an article that I read recently that says 5 million is the new 1 million. Because, you can have $1 million and it can turn into $10,000 instantly. Just, one life event or something can take that out. So, yeah, I think fear is a concern. Some people don't ask for help. And that's what we try to remedy at JP Financial Group. We speak at churches. We speak anywhere we ask to speak to give information. We've got a variety of interesting topics that we can speak on. And one reason we do that is because we want people to feel comfortable in knowing that they can come. And some people feel like you got to have a lot of money, or maybe their finances aren't complex enough to get a financial planner. And so we debunk that myth as well. If you're willing to work with us, we're willing to work with you. And of course, the more you have, the more we can do. But you got to start somewhere, and that's why we also work with young professionals. So for those of you who may have, children that are just starting their careers and stuff, it's a good time to also get them started with a financial plan. But some people's experience, I don't know how many had this experience, that they didn't talk about money at home. They had no good role models for money, or they had role models for money that don't work in today's time. So there are many reasons, but another reason, and I told John we talk about this, Jim, we talk about this, is increased longevity. What do you think the average age of the American man is, the average mortality rate or age before passing it is for a man?
Born what year?
59.
59, okay.
So what year are you basing that on? Because it changes.
No, we're just talking about the average right now.
I'd say 78.
Okay.
83.
83, okay. And what about for ladies? 85, a little higher, okay.
I'd say 5 to 8 years higher.
Okay. For men, it's 78, and for women, it's 81, and that's rising. I mean, how many people in here know someone 85 years old? I was in Harris Teeter recently, and I met a woman 96 years old. She looked fabulous, buying her own groceries, had been to church that day, driving her own car. So it is very, possible that if you retire at a certain age, we've met people that retired too soon, technically. Their money said they should not have retired. So we're going to look at those numbers and let the numbers tell us when you can retire. And when I say retire too soon, there are people that can live as long in retirement as they did when they were working. Will your money last that long? And so the strategies that we can help you put in place to help meet that concern is what we focus on. So another thing we focus on at JP Financial Group has to do with accumulation versus distribution. And you probably heard those terms in project management terms, but in finance terms, accumulation has to do with your years and age and lifestyle. So in your 20s and 30s, what are people doing in their 20s and 30s if they're in a career path? Acquiring things, that's right. What else?
Well, it's stupid. They get married.
Okay, marriage or life change, they get married. What, I heard something else. They're building their careers. Their families, okay. They're also paying off college debt, and they're also either managing money very well or learning to manage money very well, helping their credit, or either messing up their credit. Okay, that can go either way. So these are your concerns for the 20s and 30s. So what I would recommend for them is different from what I would recommend as we go down the path, and you'll see that. But these are the accumulation years. Now once you get in your 40s, what's happening in your 40s?
Same for college, your kids' college?
Yeah, you start thinking about saving for college. What did you say?
Oh, I said settle down.
Yeah, they're settled down, they're more focused.
Yeah.
Yeah, more focused, maybe buying a home. They're more focused, and if they've been working for a few years, by now you've been working at least 15 years or 20 maybe. You've got some money in a 401k or something somewhere. So now it's time to look at how your allocations are set up. It's time to learn about allocations. How many of us in our younger years got those statements with the pie chart and everything, and you'd have a long list of description of allocations and you didn't know what it was? The first time I realized that, I went to take a course at Central Piedmont Community College because I've always been interested in finance. And the instructor asked us to bring in our 401k statements. I had all of my money allocated in the same type of cap, you know, the same level of product. So I learned a lot there. And so that's things that people in this age group can learn. So it's important during that time. Now I want to pause and talk about insurance for a minute. The reason being, one, it's Life Insurance Awareness Month, so I'd be remiss not to talk about it. But the other is, it's important to consider insurance as part of your financial plan in those early years because what? It's less expensive. You know, the couple I was talking about in Spartanburg, he loves me for life because I hooked him up. He was 28 years old. He got a lot of insurance. Whole life, so when he got married, his fiance, when he dropped down on one knee, I got insurance. Yeah, he was really proud of that. He said, you know, and that was life-changing for him. So that's one reason. But the other thing I want to say is you're thinking, okay, this is a boring topic. I don't want to hear about this. She's trying to sell us some insurance. No, insurance is about income protection. So what do you think your biggest asset is right now? Your income. And if that income is lost, then there goes any financial plan that you had, and you can't even really get started back with that. So there's a lot of reasons to consider insurance. And there's all kinds of insurance, and I didn't even list them all. But it's important that we understand that income protection has to be part of your life plan. If you have a $200,000 mortgage and you don't have at least double that in insurance, then you don't have your income protected, you don't have your house protected. We protect our cars, we protect our our houses and different things like that we're required to buy insurance for, but we often overlook this. The other part is, not only do we feel it's a part of a...
You're talking about in terms of like disability insurance, short and long-term disability?
Well, it could be, but it could be life insurance too.
Okay.
Life insurance as well. You can own, there's no rule that says you have to have a limit on how much insurance you own. And that's why I put that it's a wealth building strategy, because the wealthy have tons of life insurance policies, tons of them. And different kinds, different reasons, different combinations or whatever. But it protects your home. It's mortgage protection if something should happen to you. Excuse me? Well, there's different kinds of insurance, but you know, it doesn't have to have the word mortgage in front of it for it to protect your home. God forbid if something happens to you, if you have insurance, it can pay off, the home for someone to stay in the home, back to staying in the home. So there's many strategies around insurance, and so I don't want you to think about the death part of it, because there are a lot of living benefits with insurance. And some of the newer products that are out there today really focus on the living benefits. So if you're interested in that, I want you to ask me about a type of insurance that you can get and use as a retirement plan. It's okay, it's legal, it's part of the tax code, it's been there for years. The wealthy have been doing it all the while. So again, just wanted to let you know that there are many benefits to it. And if I've had people come in and bring in their policies, we do custom policy reviews. They had something they thought they had and it wasn't that. So also that's a good reason to review. Okay, so that's a whole different seminar, but just so you have an idea. So on with accumulation and distribution. So now when we get in our 50s, retirement is just ahead, right? And some of us get derailed with it because guess what also happens in our 50s in today's time? You get divorced, your life changes, you get divorced, what else? We got the peanut gallery in here.
Maybe not doing well and you have to take care of them.
Yeah, exactly. So you're sandwiched and you probably experienced a layoff yourself. I have so many clients coming in and they're in their mid-50s and they've gotten laid off. They were right around the bend from retirement. And, you know, companies are sometimes making those decisions, you know. So in your 50s, it becomes really important that you look at how your risk tolerance is. And so there's something called the rule of 100. Have you heard of that?
Rule 70.
Yeah, there's several. I'm going to show you a list of those rules in a minute. The rule of 100 says you take your age, you take the number 100, you subtract your age, and that's your risk tolerance. That's how much you should have in risky investments or stocks, in the stock market, basically. And so naturally, as you age, your risk tolerance is going to decrease. Exactly. So at age 50, that's a good time. In those 50s, that's a good time to start relating to that. Another reason that you want to keep 50s in mind is because this is the age where you can begin to increase how much you put into your 401k. The catch-up rule applies. Everybody familiar with that? Okay, good. You doing that?
Yes.
Good. All right. Also in your 50s, and this is a strategy that we use with people, particularly companies that merge and stuff, and people have concerns because they want to retire in like the next few years, but they're not sure. The 59.5 rule. You know what that rule is? It's something to do with that.
You can take your 401k if you're still working without.
Yes, you can move some of the money. Some of them will let you move the whole amount. Some of them will let you move a portion, some of the employers. But it's called an in-service distribution. That's a strategy that a lot of people don't know about. But also at 51.5, what you were saying about 401ks, if you needed to make a withdrawal, then you don't get the penalty for early withdrawal. You still have to pay the taxes, but you no longer get the penalty.
So the other rule you're talking about is
59.5 in-service distribution, and it allows you to transfer to a safer strategy. And this is a good time to point out that at JP Financial Group, we're safe money strategies. We're not risky investors. We work with people within a certain age of retirement in the red zone. I've talked to a couple of people and they said, oh, I'm ready. So good, they're there. And then I've talked to a couple of people today, so I'm not quite ready. Oh, you're in the red zone. What does that mean? You can see retirement. You're within 5 years of retirement. So if you're within 5 years of retirement and the stock market's been riding high for how long now? It's been about 8 years to recover. Okay. So the market's going to correct itself at some time. We've already said that. So if you're within 3 years of retirement, are you comfortable leaving all your money at risk? You know, your money in the 401k is all in the stock market. You may have a portion of it in fixed, but to make the growth happen, most of your money is in the stock market. So that's when the in-service distribution is a strategy. And you can talk to me more about that, and we can share that. I've done quite a few of those lately, actually. So in your 60s, you're in the red zone. Now it's time to really come in and talk with us so that we can sit down and start mapping out your plan. And when we do that, we have an income for life plan that we can give you. We're going to be looking at when should you take Social Security? When should you take Social Security? What age can you start taking Social Security?
Depends on your birthday.
No, 62, but it's early, isn't it?
Okay, see, we love this, yeah. We do a lot of seminars on Social Security. You can start taking your Social Security at age 62, but should you take it at age 62 or not? Because there's something called your full retirement age, is what you were talking about, which is determined by the year that you were born.
Yep.
At full retirement age, you get 100% of your Social Security benefits. If you take it before that, particularly at age 62, you can leave 25% of the money on the table. And some people say, I don't care, I figured it out, it'll take me 9 years to regroup, I'm going to take it anyway. Well, it depends on the strategy and where your other sources of income come from. Okay, and then so in your 70s, of course, you've got a couple things to consider. What's one thing that you have to do in your 70s?
You have to start taking money out.
You have to do it. There's no way around.
70 and a half.
70 and a half. So 59.5 is one rule, 70.5 is another rule. The IRS says you've been saving your money long enough. We're afraid that someone's going to kill you off, you're going to kick the bucket, and we haven't gotten our taxes yet. So I want my 33% right now. And so there's a rule around, you have a little period of time. It's not just when you turn 7.5. There's a window around it, but understanding when that window is and how it works is what we help people with. And then the strategy for that.
I have to tell you, the challenge was explaining that to my mother,
Oh.
who is not used to taking money out of anything.
Saver. She was a saver. She thinks you're trying to steal her money.
Yes.
Yes. You just tell Uncle Sam was going to come and get her? Okay.
Yeah, that was enough.
Yeah. That was it. That would do it.
I'm sorry, is that, I don't understand 70. When you take it out, you have to take out 401k?
Yes, if you've had money saved in a 401k, when you become 70.5, it's an IRS rule that you have to take a minimum distribution. It's called an RMD, a required minimum distribution. So they calculate, how much ever you have in there, there's a formula they use for it, and you have to withdraw at least that amount every year, even if you don't need it. Now, if you don't need it, come see me. We got some ideas for you. and literally we do. I love to meet clients that don't need their money. I'm so impressed. I just don't know what to say. But yeah, you have to take it at 70.5, and then there's a window of time at 70.5 when you've got a little time extra past that date. There's a deadline, and if you don't take it, what happens?
They pay a penalty.
Penalized big time.
How much do you think that penalty is?
50%.
There you go. Yes. Penalties are a part of life, people. Okay, so looking at only in America, yes. Okay, so let's look briefly at yesterday's retirement as we get ready to head down the stretch here. Yesterday, my parents, grandparents, they worked 30 years. They got the cheap gold watch, and they sat home, and my grandmother gave me her old car for my first car in college. It was no big deal, and I'm one of 30 grandchildren. So, she could do that. And at Christmas time, she bought all 30 grandchildren a Christmas gift. She had an envelope for this and that in her purse. She had like 15 envelopes of money in her purse. Okay, so when she retired, she had a pension from her employer. She had personal savings and, of course, Social Security. Because if you've worked, you paid into it, you'll get it, okay? Not bad. We call that a three-legged stool. It's pretty even, pretty sturdy. Today's retirement, however, let's talk about pensions for a minute. Anybody got one?
What are those?
That's a good question. Anybody got one? I was talking with my assistant as she was proofing this, and she said, you know what? That is an odd word. That's an odd concept these days. She said, I'm only 40, but I remember when my parents and aunts and uncles, they had pension and they worked, and you had something going on if you had a pension. And so, well, some still do, but they are decreasing. Pensions have gone down to about 18% of employers that offer them. And there are a lot of employers that are sending letters out like UPS, Heinz, the Teamsters Union, saying, Dear employee, we appreciate your valued years of service. On X date, you will have to take your pension because we're getting out of the pension business. Why do you think they're getting out?
You don't want the liability, and it's underfunded.
Underfunded.
Yes.
They were promised these great returns, and the returns didn't happen. Because even though the stock market is riding high, it's really only had like a 2.5% rate of return. It's not doing that great. But they're underfunded. So this is an issue in America. Pensions are in trouble in America. If you've got one and can take it, come see me and talk about it so we can make it safe.
In 33 of the states have underfunded.
Exactly, including the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
They can't pay. So what that means is you might have planned, if I was doing your income plan, we might have had $1,900 for your pension. You may get a letter and they may say, we can't pay you that, we're going to pay you $1,200. So can you imagine if you were getting $1,000, they said, we can't pay you that, we're going to pay you $600. That makes a real difference in your lifestyle. Yeah. So we got that. So now your retirement, you're still going to get a little bit of Social Security, earnings, and I'm going to put this pie around. So your stool has got to have more legs on it to be balanced. Now, what's the interesting part about earnings? This is what retirement is going to look like today when most people retire. So what's interesting about earnings?
You're working
You're still working. You're retired and you're still working. You got to go to work. You need a new car. And one thing we do when we come in, and one of my clients, God bless her soul, she's got like a 19, what?
Just because there's a 19 in front of it tells you it's old.
And it's not a classic, and it's not a classic, yeah. Wait a minute, yeah. And I'm trying to get her to realize we need to plan for buying a car so that, you're not surprised by this when it stops working one day. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
So she said, I'm going to go back to work and save up some money and buy a car. Fine. There's many reasons people have to work, but some people cannot stop working because of what happened in 2008. They're still trying to recover. Okay. Pensions, 18.5. It has decreased.
What's the one on the top left?
The top left is other.
Oh.
Yeah, other. There's some other source of income. Yeah, that's the moon. That's the moonshine, the other boyfriend. Yeah, the other man, the other lover. But ladies, I want to tell you, a man is not a retirement plan. So I just want to let you know that. I just want to let you know. Yeah.
How big of a puzzle do you think that Social Security is going to be in 30 plus years?
Well, that's a great question, because if you're, how many baby boomers in here born after 64? I mean, before 64. Yeah, after 64. Before, okay. Boomers, you're probably okay with the way Social Security is now, but they've already changed some rules earlier this year about what you could do with Social Security. So I would say that for people in their 40s or something, your retirement age is going to increase, as well as whether or not Social Security will be like it is now. You're still paying into it, so hopefully there'll be something there. But, they had to make some changes so that it would be something there. But that's even more of a reason to have a retirement plan, because we don't know. We don't know.
Well, they moved the bracket, right, for the,
What bracket?
like the age when you can retire and get Social Security.
Yeah, they raised it, but they're also raising
Well,
the income that's, you gotta have.
associated with it, the formula. But primarily what they did this year was they stopped spouses from drawing on half of the other spouse's income, which was a good strategy because that was more money in the household. Yeah, so who knows? But these are good points. This is why you need a retirement plan that's different. So, okay, people ask me all the time, where should you put the money? So I'd like for you to think about your money now and think about what buckets you have your money in. And the first bucket is free money. What's free money? What do you think could be some free money? Huh?
Oh, match.
No, the lottery.
Believe it or not,
$20
the lottery is taxable. It is taxable, yeah. This gentleman over here wins the prize. It's the 401k match. So if you're employed and you're not matching the 401k, I feel my mic doing some crazy stuff. Not matching the 401k, then you're leaving free money on the table. Okay? If you're overfunding your 401k, I want you to talk to me also, because you're only overfunding, which means you're making more of it taxable when you retire. And I hate it, but I love it when I have clients come in and their biggest issue is they're paying too much in taxes. That means they saved a lot of money, but it was all tax deferred. So tax-free money, what do you think tax-free money is? Not really. Could be. Yeah. It's insurance. Insurance is tax-free to the beneficiary. That's why the wealthy have so much of it.
All money that you get is taxed.
No, not life insurance. If I'm your spouse and we're married and I have a $200,000 policy and I pass, you file a claim, you get $200,000 tax-free.
Now, there's some states that will tax you.
Well, in North Carolina, that's not an issue.
I'm just saying that not every state.
Yeah, but there are always state rules. There's always state rules, but primarily tax-free money is insurance. That's why we need to talk about different strategies. There's different kinds you can have. So talk to me about that. I'll be back at the table. Okay, tax-deferred money, we all know what that is, right? Your 401ks, your IRAs, things like that. And then, of course, the taxable money, we talked about that. So when you think about your money, I'd like for you to think about, and I want you to ask me, how can I get more money in that tax-free bucket? because you know, you want to have a balance when you get ready to retire. You don't want to be focused on paying so much in taxes. I mean, that's my number one complaint from some of our clients. Okay, so when you talk about risk versus safe, you heard me talk about that earlier. So these are 8 places you could put your money, and then you've got one side that's more risky and one side that's safe. Any questions about that?
We won't do this on camera. How about we just
Okay.
step right over?
Okay. Sorry, I'm having a moment here. Bye, I'll be right back. Yeah, there it is. Let me just hold it. Let me just hold it.
And you
Thank
are
you.
not the first one to get it pulled.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna hold it the rest of the time.
Categories of bonds that are safe, risks of, as safe as anything?
Could be.
Municipal bonds?
Not municipals anymore. I mean, look at all these cities that are in trouble. They used to be. From a financial position, they're kind of risky. It's still, you know,
So that- is
not
that
as safe.
riskier to the less
To
risky on the risky side, on the risk side?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Under the mattress is I've been leaning more and more toward that.
Exactly, under the mattress and in the freezer. And by the way, that brings up a good, that brings up a good point. I was talking to someone earlier, and they said that they had left a job, and I said, well, what'd you do with your 401k? They said, oh, I rolled it over into a bank. And I said, well, that's good. At least you took the money with you, so that was a good thing. I said, but now your money's just gotten lazy. We also work with lazy money. Your money's in the bank. The interest rates aren't very high right now, so your money's lazy. It's not working for you.
But it's also a risk too, because if something happens, it's only guaranteed up to 100,000.
Yeah, but we weren't talking that much, so he was okay with that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we got that. So you have to know your risk tolerance. Over the last 16 years, between 2000 and 2016, the market has had 4 major corrections, and somebody's laughing like they've seen these numbers. Oh my gosh. We all remember 2008. That was a scary time. People were taking their lives over that.
If you stuck with it.
Well, if you stuck with it and if you were younger, you had a chance to recover. If you were
Right,
near
if you were-
retirement, this
yeah,
was
if you were-
this was
my
bad
parents
news.
went through that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I just need to say the word Enron.
Yeah.
Those people, some of those people will be working the rest of their lives literally
They-
because of what happened. But if they had come see us, we would have made some of it safe.
The way it was explained to me when that happened was that you have enough of an investment in the company you work for just because they're paying you money, right? So don't put it back don't have all your eggs in one basket.
That's the point.
Right.
It's okay to have a diverse portfolio, you know, no matter your age, but when you're near that, in that red zone and getting ready to retire, you need to position your money for safe distribution. I didn't talk much about distribution when we were going through the 50s, 60s, and 70s, thanks to the entertainment. But one thing I wanted to say is we specialize in how your money is distributed because it's got to last your lifetime, and your lifetime could be longer than you think. Just look at the longevity in your family. That tells you the answer most of the time.
That chart on the right one.
Oh, yeah, it's just showing you the market dips and the returns from the stock market. See, it went down, it lost almost 40%. It's over here with the second column, yeah, second column. Mm-hmm.
It's not only stock market, a lot of people have a big investment in their house.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole different topic too. That's a topic as well. But again, the whole point is, yes, you can correct, but then you got to get back to where you were before you actually start gaining. So even though you thought you were gaining when it started coming back up, you had to get back to where you were before you had true gains. That's why when you look at what the stock market is doing, the gains aren't really that great, but it's better than no gains. But we have safe money strategies on that to protect that, particularly as you get near retirement. So you got to know how to master the game. You know, it's a game, whether you want to play it or not. How well you play it depends on what you do in these years that we've been talking about. So here's some of the rules. There's a bunch of rules. And I'm not here to go over these rules, but when you come in, some of these rules may apply to you because it may be strategies that we recommend. I've already talked about the rule of 100. I've talked about the 59.5 rule. But I did want to ask you if you know about the 4% drawdown rule.
Yes.
Okay, what is that?
Have to draw 4% at minimum, 4% out each year.
You're close. You're close.
7.5.
You're close. The 4% drawdown rule was the basic rule that they used. It said if you had a 401k when you got ready to retire, you could just keep that 401k and just take out 4.5% per year and you'll be fine. But that's not true for inflation. So the 4.5 drawdown rule may not be enough money for you. And if you did do that, you could run out of money in 10, 12 years, depending on how much you have in there. So those are just some of the things that when you come in and talk to us, we'll talk about it. Some of these are tax codes as well.
About 401ks, you leave it in Florida and all, is some of the fees they charge you after you retire are
Ridiculous.
astronomical.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So we can, yeah,
it's like loan sharks.
yeah.
You want to be real, no, seriously.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
really look at the fees
The
they charge.
annual reset rule.
The annual reset rule says that if you have an annuity, all the gains that you have that year, any growth that you have starts with that new amount, and it resets annually every year. And you may get notices about that with your 401k. You ever got a statement that said you're getting your 401k has been reset? Okay, so it's around that. So ask me more about it, but that's really what it is, and that's a great advantage with annuities, by the way, because with an annuity, zero is your hero. In the years when the stock market is not doing well, you may not have any gains, but you have no losses. So in the years where it has gained, it resets every year on the growth that is set for you. So here's the Charlotte Symphony Orchestra here, and we like to look at financial planning as that you need a financial symphony. You need a financial professional that is going to fine-tune your plan, make sure that it's balanced, and that the issues and goals that you have are addressed, and that your needs are met, and that it's also your assets are going to be protected, because again, that's what we specialize in, and the potential for higher yield savings is possible, as well as growth with less income taxes. So what is your symphony like? Is it music to your ears, or you feel like a one-man band? So again, basically, in wrapping it up, you want to have a plan based on your needs, desires, and goals. And you may have plan A. It may start off someplace. You may end up at plan B when you get into the red zone. And then plan C is always about protecting money. So you can have more than one plan within a plan. And that's what we would go over with you there. So the time is now. And just remember to get a solid financial plan built around your needs and goals. Have a supporting cast, which means someone seek professional help so that you can get the right information, because times are changing. Resources are changing, and then learn to master the rules of the game so that you can be confident and empowered. So basically, it's not that people don't have a plan, they simply failed. I mean, it's not that they plan to fail, it's just that they don't have a plan. Okay, so thank you so much. We're on Moorhead Street in Charlotte, and I'll be around for any questions that you might have afterwards. Thank you again.